everyone. It's end of the year recap with Dnota. I'm actually in Japan, Kyoto, Japan, and I'll be doing this live with a fellow traveler that I met along my journey. So I'm just going to invite him in here. His name is Hit, and we'll talk more once he's in the room. Hi, Nadia. Let me add. It's been a while since I've done a live. Okay, so you're in the chat. That's so cool. You guys are all joining so fast. Okay, so you just have to send me a request, or I'll try to send you one. All right, I'm accepting your request. Give us a moment. I know sometimes these things take a while to load. It's actually like 1 a.m. in Japan right now, so pretty dedicated to be doing this at this time. Okay, so I've accepted your request. Hi, Kate. Hi, Bhuvan. We're Static Yogi. Hey, Drummond. We're just starting a live, so just trying to add my friends so we can go live. I think maybe we sent it at the same time. How is everyone doing? I'm gonna wait till this goes live. What are you guys up to? It's good to see you too. Aloha. Hey,
Hey,
we are live.
we are live. How is
Yeah,
everybody doing?
everybody's
Aesthetic Yogi.
good.
Hello, namaste. How are you, man?
So are you able to see people joining the
Yeah,
chat at the top?
yeah, actually. Last time I didn't see anybody.
Okay.
That's
I
good.
think my voice is feedbacking probably because maybe I'm too loud. So I think you can turn it down like a bit for the recording, and I'll tell you if it stops.
How about
Okay, I don't hear myself anymore. Perfect.
okay. Oh,
All
my dad
right.
also jumped in. All
Nice.
right. Okay, cool.
So would you like to introduce us? I already did before you joined. I did a little intro, but let's hear your
Oh
version.
yeah, sure. Okay, so we are gonna start a live. We're gonna discuss more of like yoga, healing, vegetarianism, travel, and fashion. Uh, for today's live, that's it. And we also throw some light on meditation, I believe, right? We can talk about on that too.
Definitely.
Uh, I'll give you my introduction. I'm Het Patel from India. Been traveled in India. Been in Canada for 3 years. Been to States for quite an often. And lastly, I've been in Japan where I met Dnota over there. And I was like, uh, I don't know. We just met like, what are the odds? 3 times in a day,
I mean,
right?
the odds of meeting someone from a plane that has thousands of people
Yeah.
on a subway and be like, hey, I remember you.
Trust me, I
So,
didn't know that that was you when you were like,
yeah,
okay, struggling with your bag upstairs on the shelf over there.
yeah. I mean,
And we
that's a
met again
cool,
outside the station.
yeah, that's a cool thing about traveling. You meet so many people, but like the odds of meeting a person that's from your city off a plane and then back in another city is like, so
And into
it's
the
meant to
same
be.
hostel, actually.
Yeah, walking to the same hostel. Yeah,
Totally,
yeah.
totally.
And I'm
Yes.
I'm still in Japan. I'm traveling through Kyoto, Osaka, and then I'll be going to Okinawa, which I'm really excited about, and other countries.
Wow.
And
How's
the
the weather like over there?
weather was beautiful yesterday. I think because I'm on like a higher floor now in this hotel, like it was so hot. Like I was just basically sun tanning on this level. Like
Wow.
So you can
It's
hear
totally
the
the opposite
ambience.
in Toronto. Yeah,
Yeah,
like 2 degrees. It has been positive. Can't complain.
I can't do cold weather, so I'm so
That's why
happy
you
that
escaped.
yeah. I escape it every year. I try to do backpacking trips at the end of the year.
Right.
And I'm really in the process of trying to find my place. Like I love being near the ocean and stuff, but just the ideal place that has a good balance of lifestyle, the people, the environment. So hopefully, fingers crossed on this trip, I'll find that ideal place for me.
Yeah, that's good that you just go with the flow, right? You just let things and places come to you and you just go with the flow after. I think
Yeah,
that's,
honestly, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's the thing that you go
just
for.
fell, yeah, Japan just fell into my lap. Like seriously, it was so last minute, just like you.
So what made you choose Japan especially? Why?
Cost.
Oh yeah, that's the number
Cost.
one thing.
Yeah,
That's the
like
number one thing.
wanted to go to Bali, which was really expensive. Thailand was expensive. India was expensive, and these were all places that I wanted to go to. So I found a little hack where I was like, why not find the cheapest country on that side? And Japan was like 800 versus 3,000. So I was like, I'd rather spend the 3,000,
Right.
in the accommodation, traveling through these countries, and then eventually going to each one. And then when you map it out that way, it's cost effective because Singapore is not far from Okinawa, Japan. And then from there, Bali's like 2 hours. So why spend so much time on a plane and spend so much money when you can just travel that way? That's a little hack if anyone's interested.
Right. You just jump on from country after
Yeah,
that, right?
yeah,
Yeah. And I heard first time I remember talking with you, you just mentioned backpacking over there. So I
yeah.
was just really curious about that. Like how I've heard about the term before, but I don't know how exactly people do that. I mean, is it like
Well,
you just packing your bag up and you just go, or
yeah,
literally?
literally, like you're literally, yeah, you're just backpacking country to country and you're not spending money on like baggage. So you have your backpack that is your carry-on and you're doing it as light as possible. And that kind of makes it really sustainable and also very mindful because you have to be so mindful of what you pack, what you buy, what you get rid of. Like I already know because I packed for multiple climates that I'm going to be getting rid of stuff so that I can buy a little bit more.
Right.
But I know Japan is a country where you literally, guys, if you come to Japan, don't bring any toiletries because they give you everything, not even your toothbrush. You don't need it. Every hotel gives you a toothbrush like every single day, and they give you like
Everything.
everything, everything. So just bring an empty suitcase, especially women, if you're watching this live, like the best makeup, the best clothes. Just come to Japan for shopping. So you need a separate trip for shopping.
Shopping,
You need like a,
especially.
yeah, and you need a separate trip for backpacking. You can't combine the two. And I think that's a challenge. I think being a woman that loves fashion and clothes but yet I'm very sustainable and I'm very mindful about what I purchase and what I choose to like kind of upsell or reuse, repurpose. So we have to be mindful of these things.
With the size and the dimensions, would it fit in the
Oh,
bag or not?
oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But I
I didn't
did. I
realize I did
bought,
the same thing.
yeah.
And
And
I
I
just
bought my
backpacked.
first, yeah, we're
Yeah, yeah.
talking at the same
Go
time. I bought my
ahead.
first yukata, which is the traditional Japanese outfit. And I was just like, see, sometimes you have little sentimental moments, and it was just a sustainable fabric. That's something else I want to talk about, which is like the type of fabric that you wear. Like everything that you put on your body has a certain resonance, it has a certain frequency. And that's why in the olden days, people used to wear linen and cotton and more breathable fabrics because they allow your body to naturally like perspirate and it's breathable fabric. Whereas polyester, it's not good for your skin, it's not good for your body. I know we all own our sportswear, our yoga wear, and I'm still trying to like phase that stuff out. And I'm hoping that by the time I get to India, I can design some stuff that is sustainable and stylish. I think that's really hard to find in yoga clothes. Um, so yeah, I found the yukata and it was in linen cotton and I was like, I'm buying this, you know, and it was like the perfect fit. And I'm hoping to take that to India and maybe recreate it. By the time I go to India, I'm probably gonna have suitcases, so I'll bring those back.
Right.
But I'll be backpacking all the other countries.
When you speak of yoga, what comes to the mind, like from the Westerners, I believe, is just like stretching and it just uh, in tone breathing, in just rhythm, like rhythm breathing. But I
Yeah.
know it's not like that's not the whole definition of yoga. I mean, me being from India, yoga is totally different thing over there. It's like combination of pranayams, asanas, and everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, when you teach yoga, like, what are the reaction of people? What does yoga mean actually to you, and
It's a
how do they take it?
really Yeah, that's a really, really good question that you asked. Actually, when I did my yoga teacher training last year, my yoga teacher asked that in the class, and it was about hey Nishan. So I'm just
Adit
gonna
Yogi
respond
says
to the.
linen lasts longer.
It definitely does, and it's a nice texture when it starts to kind of fade and you wear it out.
Right.
It's a really nice fabric. I love linen. Yeah.
Message
So
says
going
hi.
back to yeah,
Hi,
hey Nishan.
man.
I'm glad that you're able to see the comments too. Yeah, so going back to what you asked, yeah, my yoga teacher asked that question like, what does yoga mean to you? And I was so happy with the answer that I wrote because it was my takeaway in the beginning was the same takeaway when I left and I completed yoga teacher training, and it was that yoga is a way of life, you know? It's not just the physical asanas, that's just one aspect of the practice. Being a yogi or a yogini is about implementing it in all aspects of your life. So it's the way that you live, it's the way that you eat, it's the way that you breathe, it's the way you communicate with people. There's different niyams of yoga, which is the way that you conduct your life. Like, for example, non-violence or non-attachment. Non-attachment, parigraha, is something that I've been, oh, it gives me chills. Like, it's something that I've been actively, like, practicing. So
It's hard.
the niyams, right? The
Yeah.
niyams have their own process with you throughout your life, and yoga is something that stays with you. Yoga is a Western word, right? So it's yog is I think the original word, and we got some yogis in the chat, so if I'm wrong, correct me. We're all learning, and there's an aspect of yoga where you literally focus on yourself. And being a teacher that provides and teaches and things like that, I have to, at certain parts of the year, pull back and go into self-study. And that's kind of what I'm doing right now.
Right.
And through those phases comes things like fasting and cleansing and um, there's another part of yoga which is mantras, right? So it's like that's called bhakti yoga, right? And
Yeah.
bhakti yoga is really special because it helps you to connect to your heart. And that's very much necessary, I think, in order to for one to facilitate classes to remain heart centered, which is something that I don't often see in the West when yoga has been so westernized and made into almost what is basically Pilates, a workout.
Yeah.
And so I was so selective with where I worked because there was a certain kind of audience I just couldn't cater to because it was important for me to keep the practice like really ancient and really sacred. So I could
Totally.
go on and on.
No, yes, please go on and on, please. Because I heard like in that Bhakti Yoga, it also involves like different senses, right? In yoga,
Yeah.
not only the bodily aspect, but Bhakti Yoga, when you chant mantras or something, it involves your hearing, and then mind is like centered, and then you go like, okay, you're in your own on your own thing, where you can
Yeah.
actually focus and concentrate more better, right?
Yeah, so yoga helps you ultimately recognize your multiple bodies, not just your physical body, but like your energetic body, your emotional body, and understand that we are multidimensional beings. And beyond the seven chakras, there's so many more, right? Like there's ones that are not even visible, but in order for you to tap into those realms, you have to recognize what your multidimensional energy is, right? Most people think
Right.
they're just the physical body or they think they're just the mind. And that's why meditation is necessary to understand and observe that we're not our minds or we're not our emotions. And yet we've been given this vehicle, this human body to experience all of these outlets, right? So it's important to go inward as well as enjoy the Maya that exists out here in the world. Like that's here to be enjoyed and to be savored as well.
Totally. Uh, Divine feminine energy around you, nature, right?
Yeah, say
I
more,
remember you talking about Kali the other day on
right?
the same aspect, but that's a topic for later. But for now, I got another question. So when people approach you for yoga, they want to learn or something, but for with what aim do they approach you? Like, what do they actually want from yoga? With what perspective they come in? Expectations, right?
I think that your vibe attracts your tribe. And ultimately, if you're in resonance with yourself, then you're gonna either find a place that is suitable and resonance to what is meant for you. For me, it was important for me to teach all aspects of yoga, and the biggest one that I'm most passionate about is basically mindfulness. And it's a really, really simple practice that's connected to Vipassana, I think it's called. I've never been to Vipassana meditation, but it's simply observing the mind. So the type of audience that I've been able to attract this year, I mean, I've taught hundreds of classes. I'm so proud of that, is that they're looking to heal their physical body, their emotions, get into inner child healing. And I tend to teach in a very gentle way, but yet there's like still an intensity because it's in the moments that you slow down, you recognize what you're feeling, and you tune back into your heart. So I tend to teach a lot of my classes from my heart, and as well as the aspects of mindfulness. Like me and you, we did a body scan at the end. That was like the only thing I could show you in, 20 minutes before your flight. The body scan is very important to just shut off the mind and get into the body. And I think sometimes we try to override our physical body, our emotions through our mind. But I try to connect all aspects, and in the physical practice, you're still observing your mind, you're observing your thoughts, you're observing your restrictions in your body. And I think that is so unique because that's what's missing in a lot of the Western ways where they're just pumping, And it's all mind, it's all ego. But when you slow it down and you sit with your emotions, you sit with your mind, you sit with your limitation, you get to hold space for it. And that's kind of what the container of physical yoga classes is. It helps you to get further into other aspects, So it's just like a little taster.
It's like a platform that leads you to like different things where you wanna go. Like
Yeah.
it enables you to watch and like look over. This is the
Yeah.
thing, actually.
Yeah.
Totally.
And one other thing that I'm very passionate about is like sound healing because sound works on multiple bodies. It works on your physical body, it works on your emotional body, and it helps clear the chakras as well. So the different sounds, go ahead.
I remember one incident. Like we went to that unexpected shrine. We were just strolling around in Shinjuku, right? We
Yeah.
had that huge bell,
Yeah.
and we just rang it, you just asked me like, where do you feel the vibrations in your body? I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I think it's over at a nearby neck, but I didn't know what actually was happening over there. Like, can you just throw on more light on it today, if you want?
Yeah. Wow, how do I shorten that? That's such a fascinating topic. So the resonance of sound helps release blockages, physical blockages, energetic blockages within our body. So when you listen to certain frequencies, they're all over YouTube. You can find them. One of my favorites is 528 hertz. It helps to heal your DNA. I know it works because I've healed
Wow.
my own legs with it. I wasn't able to walk and I had nerve pain. So every single day I would get in the bathtub and I would put on 528 hertz and just listen to it and allow my nervous system to receive the resonance of that frequency, you know? And so there's different frequencies that enable different aspects of us, as well as they help us to release certain blockages. I know the throat block because I used to have it. And so what you're doing with this platform and you're communicating more is wonderful because it's going to help you to release any limiting, blockages in your throat. And so certain resonance of frequencies like bells at shrines and temples are a way for us to clear our energy. There's a science to the spirituality and it's embedded in these beautiful temples and shrines that we get to visit in Japan, India. Even when I left the last mountain place, I just rang the bell, and it was just such a good feeling because it clears your energy body.
Yeah, yeah, and I believe like when they construct such bells, like they go through different frequencies that you just mentioned, like 528 hertz, right? Like
Yeah,
they would inculcate every frequency that heals or just helps in a human body in a certain way,
yeah,
so that it just heals over after. So
yeah.
that's what I,
And
yeah,
yes, I want to get certified in sound healing as well, and I have this dream to build my collection of gongs, and I have the Tibetan bowls. I've done sound healing sessions this year through the community, and it was just amazing to be able to like hold space. And we just did it in a cafe, like it was like a 3 hour seminar. We did a meditation, I think a soul star guidance, like connection to Mother Earth, as well as just like our celestial body, and then we kind of channeled it back to the physical body. So it's almost like a gradual pulsing, such is our evolution and such is our process in terms of growth.
right.
And that's the beauty of sound too. It also pulsates, right? Pulsates. It pulses. It's an in and out process when you listen to those healing frequencies. Like I urge you to um, do your meditations with them because it'll build a deeper concentration. Right now, the one that I'm listening to the most is 888, and that's the frequency of enabling abundance into your life. And I feel it. Like, I feel like I'm really ready for 2025 and what's to come. And there's been a lot of release of limiting beliefs, and that rhymes. And just like
Yeah,
honoring who I am and what is to come. And I had to make space for that. I had to let go a lot of, you know, limiting beliefs. There's somebody saying hi to you.
yeah, that's my
Dhruvi.
sister, Dhruvi.
Oh,
Hello.
yeah. There's a lot of people that are saying hi.
From California. Wow.
Hello
Should
back to
be
you.
a
We
bit
have
early
people
today.
from all over the world. People are like coming in and coming out. It's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, speaking of the sound, actually, just remember, few cultures, I don't know if it's Japan or China, where they have that ball kind of thingy, and they roll over a rod kind of thing, and then just they try to heal over the patient
Yeah.
or the person uh, going through something, right?
Yeah, so those are called Tibetan bowls, and they also have different resonance. I have like a set of three, and I notice that certain ones are really intense, And sometimes the intensity is something that you feel in different parts of your body, just like when we were at the shrine and you felt it in your throat, right? So sometimes you can use them and place them over the chakra system while a patient is laying down. So certain people use sound that way, or what I do is I combine it into my yoga classes. So I'll play the frequency and I'll kind of put people, not kind of, literally put people into kind of a hypnosis self-trance state. And that 10-minute body scan helps them to kind of like shut off the mind. And so when they're actually doing the physical practice of yoga, it's connected to their energy body, not just their physical body. So
Right.
that's how you can combine sound healing and movement together, and it's like a powerful release. I have people that like sometimes leave classes. Tutti Frutti's in here. She's someone that I teach for. She has a studio in Ajax, if anyone wants to check her out. And so she said to me before, she's like, what are you doing to people? People are leaving your classes kind of zombified, in a zombified state. I'm like, because I'm putting them into a self-healing state. And it's rest and repair mode. So our nervous system, there's rest and repair, and then there's fight or flight. And most of the day we spend in fight or flight mode, and we never get into self-regulating our nervous system, right? So the Western society is set up to work, 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 hustle, 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 and we're constantly in fight or flight. And so something like the practice of mindfulness or yoga helps us to kind of just scale it back and slow it down. And there's so much wisdom that comes from just resting and just relaxing and not overthinking things. And I think that's part of what the holidays helps us to do, like spend time with our loved ones, just relax, and imagine what life would be like if you were constantly in that state, right? Like what would we be able to manifest? So something to think about.
Yeah, when you take a vacation, when you just charged up again and you feel like, oh, again, here we go again with that.
Yeah. Dhruvi says, I agree. I'm always in search of sunlight and peace. I love sunlight. Me too. Me
That's
too.
why that's
Yeah.
why she left Canada and she went to California
Yay!
after, right?
Yay! Good for you. Yeah.
Good for her, yeah.
I'm also in search of more sunlight and the ocean vibes. And Canada's just way too cold for me.
That's okay. We just get like 3 months and then we'll be with the
Uh,
abundance of
uh-uh.
sunlight after.
It's more like 5 months.
Uh, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. It
Yeah,
just
she says, yeah,
reflects more over
exactly.
from the sun and it's like super bright over here sometimes.
Your sister's agreeing with me. She's like, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll
Please
see.
send some sun to Toronto, says Aesthetic Yogi. I will once I get
Please.
to the warmer places. I mean, it's like fall weather here in Kyoto, Japan, but I need that like Bali sun where you're just like dripping in sweat. Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's just gonna get
tropical.
hotter and hotter as I travel, so I'll be able to send you more sun.
100%.
Yeah.
We need that. You need that tropical vibe, right?
Right. Yeah. I love the tropical vibes.
Totally. Yeah, speaking of that sound, because it also plays different role in different culture as well. And in India especially, I remember when you pray, like there is a bell thing, right? Like when you just shake it off and then you start with your prayer with that. So
Yeah.
that also helps in spirituality to connect yourself and God with. So yeah, it has a big role in it. And I don't know if that plays a good role for you to meditate in. What's your take on meditation? Have you've
The
been
type of
practicing meditation for a while, right?
yeah, the type of style that I resonate with, you mean?
Yeah. So when you meditate, you just close your eyes and you just focus on some point, or you have a different way of getting into the frame and then you start meditating.
That's a really good question. You got a lot of good questions, by the way.
Yeah,
Um,
it just comes
I'm
off.
trying
Just go
not,
with the
I'm
flow.
like, I'm like trace it back and, scale it back? How do I like answer it without, going overboard? Um, okay, so meditation for me is like very intuitive. Like it's not something that I every day I practice at the same time or anything like that. I used to be more structured, I think, when I was younger. Whereas now, just eating food is meditation, or actually sleeping is meditation. Looking at nature is meditation. That, like, I think that whole evening, that one evening that we spent together, I was so much in the zone. For me, that is a walking meditation, where I'm so connected to my environment, whether we're walking through a cemetery, which we did, we're walking through a shrine, and I'm telling you, I'm constantly in the zone of channeling information that you needed to hear in those moments. For me, that's meditation, you know.
Right.
Being with my loved ones is meditation. Cooking is meditation. And for me, if you want to over kind of umbrella everything, it's mindfulness. It's being present in every moment. And sometimes that's with our eyes open, you know, and sometimes you don't have to force it or find a certain technique. I think when I was younger, I was more interested in, getting to a certain destination, but it's the beauty of observing everyday life, whether it's a plant or animal or insect or water or whatever, like those moments where you could simply observe, get into the observer state, just enjoy that. Your sister is saying some stuff. We got some comments.
Well said, says aesthetic yogi. Sister says cooking is meditation as for her as well. She loves cooking. Oh wow, yeah, totally. For
Yeah,
her,
I could use some. I could use some Indian cooking right now. It's challenging when I'm traveling, but I love like even going to the supermarket and just seeing the different vegetables, and I'm like, oh, I wish I had a kitchen. So the next place I'm shifting into will have a kitchen, and I can immerse myself in some of the, like the Japanese roots and vegetables, because they have so much of that stuff, right?
yeah,
So I love
I've heard
cooking.
they got lots of roots over there. Uh, sure, I'd love to meet you. Okay,
Oh,
she wants to meet you one
oh,
day.
oh. Yeah, I'll come to Cali. We'll hang out. Yeah.
She needs to
So
come to
that
Toronto before.
used to. Oh, thank you. I
Okay,
really appreciate that. She says you are
nice.
always welcome. Cooking is an art. All arts are a form of meditation. Very true. Yeah.
Very true.
Aesthetic,
Well said.
this aesthetic yogi actually knows how to cook really well. He's another really special person. And I had the great opportunity of working with him this year, and it's been
Wow.
really special. Yeah.
I mean,
You
yeah,
get
if you're
some,
into meditation, you'll be good with everything because it just makes you more mindful,
yeah,
right?
yeah. And
Do
you
you
want
think
to be able
it's
to, yeah,
yeah,
you
go
want
ahead.
to be able to assess what's in your food, right? Because sometimes when we're eating from outside, we don't know, and there's so many preservatives and things like that. So you almost become conscious of everything that you wear, everything that you eat, everything that you say or think, and so on and so forth, right? What were you gonna
100%.
say? You were gonna say something, or did you forget?
No, I totally I agree with you. Even though people not knowing meditation and not being as familiar with yoga and stuff, nowadays my friends from West, they're really like cautious about what they buy from the shelf and what they put into their system, what they wear throughout the day. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
But they don't know like all the links. They're joining into the common thing that's called yoga. But
yeah,
when they say yoga, something else come to their mind, and they're like, "Oh no, I'm not gonna do that." But they don't know what the yoga
yeah,
is actually.
yeah. And what was so special about teaching this year is I taught a lot of beginners, and when they came to my classes, they were like, "Oh, thank you. Like, I didn't know this was yoga." Where I could
Right.
just, maybe someone had an injury and they just wanted to be a part of the mindfulness aspect or the body scans. And I think the technique of teaching very slowly and allowing people to just kind of like sit with their own limiting asanas or whatever made it more welcoming, you know? And I think that was like really, really great, like where teaching beginners gave them the opportunity to recognize that yoga didn't have to be done in a very structured way, that it can just be something that's very gentle and very like open concept. So yeah.
Right. And then we were just talking over the food. I wanted to ask you one question. What are the challenges you faced while practicing vegetarianism and when you were
Oh
traveling, especially
boy,
in
every
Japan, because
day.
Japan is the country where you cannot get much of the vegetarian food.
Yeah, yeah. It's very challenging, which is why I'm trying to find accommodation where I can cook my own food because eating out is not the healthiest. But I try to find supermarkets where I can get like fresh vegetables. I've even throughout this trip had phases where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna intermittent fast today. And I'll eat some fruit or I'll try to like find one meal. I know that I can stick to Indian food. Like the Nepali restaurants around here, they know me now because that's the only thing that I know I can eat. And like after a while, you get tired of using the Google app to translate everything. And almost everything in Japan has beef, chicken, fish, oyster sauce, even the stuff that is just like pasta or like pizza. Like I was so excited to eat a pizza tin. I'm like, okay, cool. I could stretch this meal out for like 2 meals. I look at it, and there's like three different opinions about whether it's vegetarian or not. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like if it's not, then I don't want to buy it, right?
Right.
So sometimes you luck out, but if you can find some fruit and you know how to cook and you can stay at that's why I really like hostels because you have the freedom to like cook and you get to meet people along your journey as well. So that's my recommendation, or try to find places that are like that understand what fully vegetarian is because they don't here in a lot of, I guess, the ramen places. Like I was excited to try ramen, but then I recognized that they use like beef broth or chicken broth, and it's almost like they just put like they garnish their food with pork and like pork flakes or fish flakes, so it's too
Yeah,
much, too many elements you have to be so mindful of. So,
totally.
um,
Totally.
yeah.
If you're like pure vegetarian, you'll be struggling, but it's not as hard as it seems. So once you visit the country, you'll find your own ways, right? You'll find it out.
Yeah. And I really wanted to do like a Buddhist temple stay during this trip, but that's been challenging. It's like they're really expensive. Apparently they have vegetarian meals that they offer. Um, but the thing I don't understand, maybe I need to talk to like a Japanese person about this, is they eat everything. Like they eat so much meat, right?
Yeah.
But yet it's like they have so much compassion for nature, like trees and stuff like that. So I don't understand
How does
the
it go?
par the polarity or the difference or the contrast between consuming so much meat and then having so much compassion for nature. It's like where's the compassion for animals? Like I don't get that yet. I don't know.
That's a gray
Maybe I
area.
haven't, yeah. But it's I realize that it's polarizing here. You have many different sects of Japanese people, and you also have a lot of Buddhist people that are vegetarian, right? So all the shrines, all the temples, like most of them, they're vegetarian. They make their own meals and stuff like that. So they probably don't buy out either. So I don't really understand the Japanese history enough to know why there's such a segregation between the different tribes or different sects, but I don't know. Like that's a to ask a Japanese person.
Totally. I think I met someone at the airport, but I didn't get a chance to speak on this topic with them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when you speak of vegetarian, like why would you choose to be a vegetarian? Like, is it uh, makes your body more relaxed, or is it for like compassion for the nature, or is it a religious thing? Were you vegetarian before, like when you were born, or you just turned
Yeah.
vegetarian after?
Yeah. I'm really grateful that my parents are both vegetarians, so I grew up as a vegetarian and it was easy. I think the transition between being a vegetarian and going into veganism was like challenging, but I did it for a few years. And I like that a lot, even though it's really extreme. Like, you can't really eat out. Like, you can't even have a pizza, right? Unless you find like a vegan pizza, but then at that point, you're just eating dough, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
I understood the challenge for even meat eaters that are trying to convert into vegetarianism because it's like your tongue, right, has a certain flavor that it likes. For me, I like the flavor of cheese, but yet it was hard to let go going from vegetarianism into like veganism. I didn't care for the title necessarily. I still don't. I try to be more on the vegan end of things, but I also like the flavor of chai, right? So I'm like, you pick your balance, and I'm not here to discriminate against what another person chooses to eat, how they choose to live their life. Like, that's the type of, I guess, non-attachment thinking that I try to like observe people through, right? Like, I don't try to impose my preferences on other people. There's a certain maturity about that. I can inspire people. And for me, yeah, there's a certain, I think, compassion that you hold for nature, for animals, being a vegetarian, and it's connected to yoga as well, right?
right.
I think it's called it's non-violence is the term, right? So it's like non-violence between for everything, all of life, right? And I mean, you can argue with people and they'll tell you that plants are alive too, but again, you choose what you want to consume and you see, yeah, ahimsa is the term. That's what I
Ahimsa.
was thinking. And to each their own, right? And some people go through the challenge of having being raised in a family that consumes meat and then they eventually find vegetarianism or veganism. I think I'm starting to lean even more now further on the spectrum of being a vegan because you just don't know how the milk is being produced country to country. And yes, I've tasted it here. I don't particularly gravitate towards it.
Right.
And so I try to find like the almond milk or the soy milk. But all of these things take effort, right? Like, you have to research and you have to like, they're conscious choices of what you choose to put into your body or not, right? And
Right.
everything you put into your body has a certain effect on you.
100%. I don't know if you're aware about the term called, you are actually, when we talked about it, right? Tamas, Rajas, and
Yep,
Sattva.
yeah,
Yeah, that's what by, yeah, because some people don't even eat onion and garlic because it's tamasic in nature. I know it
yeah,
has a healing property in them, but it has to be like in moderation. That's what my sister's also following.
yeah,
So she does not eat onion and garlic.
nice.
There are different diets in vegetarianism as well. I know Jainism, they don't even eat roots. So anything potato,
Yeah,
anything like carrot or anything, they don't go with that.
yeah.
So
And I think ultimately you have to listen to your own body. There was a very specific diet that we ate when I did yoga teacher training, and we didn't have root vegetables, we didn't have tomatoes, eggplant. Apparently, there's a term for these types of vegetables that are not good for your system because they create inflammation. Strangely enough, as much as I love tomatoes this past year, even though my mom grew tomatoes in the garden, I didn't eat them that much. And it's something that I used to do all the summers before, and I noticed that the acidity or the pain in my joints wasn't as extreme, you know. So maybe some of these things are true, like, and so but it's a gradual process, right? Like you can't stop eating everything and then finding your way along the way. Maybe you'll slowly start releasing one thing and then seeing how you feel, and it's a process of elimination. So yeah, there's maybe that could be a separate live where we talk about,
Yeah,
you know, rajas, samas, and things. I'm glad that you know about those things.
yeah, and
And
I do know that, even the construction of body of different people is different. The three main elements, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha,
yep,
the amount of which is more or less, they react differently with different food. So some people go
yeah,
really well with certain food, well, they might react differently with the other food as well, right?
exactly. And I found that the diet that I was consuming at yoga teacher training kind of made me gain weight because it was a lot of gelatinous kind of food, like peanut butter and carrots, and we weren't even consuming like black pepper, but black pepper is like really good for you. So you have to see what feels good to you, and that might change throughout your life. Like you might go through different phases, and that's totally okay. Static Yogi is saying
Totally
food,
agree with that.
food which is cooked by our sun is high vibrational. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I heard about energy being transmitted from light, like the food being energized with direct sunlight exposure.
Yeah.
I don't know how to what extent it's true, but when you do it, like when you eat the food being exposed, like you really feel good after that, right?
Absolutely. Actually, the one summer, the last summer before this past one, I did in almost like I call it intuitive fasting. So it wasn't like, okay, I'm following a certain rule. It was like whenever I was hungry, I would eat, but I was practicing. Oh, it was such a special time in my life. Like I was practicing bhakti yoga. And so instead of eating food, I was chanting. And that was my sustenance, right? Like that sustained me. And that was so special because it let go such a limiting belief about food that you can just, we are light bodies and we are light beings, and that our body can be sustained through ketosis, which is science, right? And we are sustained by sunlight, so it was summertime. I would go outside, I would chant my mantras, I would ground. I had the ability to do all of these things because I had completed yoga teacher training and I was completing all my trainings in Toronto, like CPR and different certifications. So I had time to go into nature and just ground with elements and like what it did for my energy body, what it did for my mind. Sometimes I would go and anchor into nature at nighttime, and that heightened my clairvoyance, my ability to connect with nature in that sort of way. And the resonance of the sound creatures at night and the moonlight was just like amazing. And that only happened because I was fasting and I wasn't overloaded with food that I needed to digest. I was literally ingesting the mantras that I was reciting. It was such a beautiful phase, and I sustained like that for like 2 weeks. I would sometimes eat maybe a fruit that was like in the sunlight, and that summer my mom had like the big tomatoes, and I would just put salt on them. That was my meal, and it was so simple. And there's a, I guess, a diet where people eat that way, like where they'll just eat one type of fruit per day and then they'll intermittent fast. And that's so special because there's so many things. Like, I highly urge you, if you've never fasted, try to do that.
Right.
Because even if you ingest one herb during your fast, like I remember, my hands are tingling as I talk about this. I remember ingesting the herb like peppermint. And I got into such a meditative state, right? Like, again, you talk about what is meditation. I got into such a meditative state. I consumed it and I started to talk to the plant and said, "Tell me your wisdom." And it started, because now you're not connected to your mind that judges this type of perception. I found my energy body connecting to that plant. This is a form of plant medicine. It doesn't always have to be ayahuasca. And because I was already in that high vibrational state, I could communicate telepathically with what I had ingested, which was simply peppermint, and it's telling me its healing properties. And I'm meditating on this, right? It's flowing through my system, and everything is a sentient being, right? So that walk that we did your last day in Japan, I was trying to show you that everything is alive and
Right.
everything is connected, right? Every message, every place we visited, every plant, every bell, everything. And so the power of fasting is it helps you to connect back to nature that way. It helps you to connect to higher dimensions of yourself and everything around you, which is why in meditation sometimes you see like those paintings and there's like this spiral of energy because we are constantly sending and receiving healing energy. Ooh,
Right.
I'm gonna take a pause
Yeah.
to read these comments.
We're eating rice pudding with that we used to live in under moonlight for Sarat Purnima. Yeah, absolutely. Great point made. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
can
there is,
infuse you can infuse your food with the elements, yeah. Whether it's moonlight, sunlight, and there's another thing that came. So fruit that grows high is connected to the sun energy, right? But then fruit or vegetation that is grown in the ground has a grounding effect, right? It has more of a magnetic effect. And sometimes some people need those root vegetables versus maybe someone needs like a high vibrational, like sun energy element, right? So it just depends on what elements you need to balance within yourself, depends what type of body type you have, and I truly believe that your body type can change throughout your life. Like I found myself throughout my life expanding and shrinking. It's like last year I was like a different body weight, and this year I'm like a different body weight, and it's just a constant flux. Especially being a woman, I think that's the beauty of being a woman. We're constantly in the flow of that energy.
right, right. 100% I agree with that. And the point that aesthetic yogi made is also valid because I experience difference when you eat kheer. You know what kheer is, right? Like you
Yeah,
just put in rice and custard and milk, and you just make it a pudding.
yeah.
So when it was exposed through the direct moonlight, it tastes different. But when you just make it, when you eat it directly like that, it tastes different. So yeah, it just adds on flavor to it. It's yeah, 100%. Yeah.
How does it taste?
It tastes like more beyond sweetness. There is sweetness you can experience when you put in sugar, but the prasadas after you offer to the god, that shira, it tastes like that. Like when you just expose it to direct sunlight, it's not just sweet. It's a different kind of sweetness that you can experience it only on that portion of kheer that has been exposed, not to the kheer that was made just like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll have to try it sometime. I guess we got some kheer lovers in the chat.
Yeah.
Aesthetic Yogi says it tastes heavenly, tastes delicious. Your sister also says, I love kheer. I won't be eating kheer for a while. Oh, maybe Singapore might have some kheer.
Yeah, they will. They will.
But I don't know, I'm trying
That's
to like cut back on the milk. So I have to make some vegan kheer. Oh yeah, cardamom is bomb. Yeah, that's the other thing about travel is I really miss my herbs. Like I have my essential oils, but I miss like the flavoring of let me grab some cardamom or some saffron or a little bit of this and oh, like if I started traveling with that stuff, I'd smell so funny. Add some jaggery or sugar. Yes. We'll have to have a whole meal with you, lady. She's like giving out the recipe. Nice.
Yeah, she's super into cooking.
Yeah, I can see
Yeah,
that.
super. Yeah, yeah.
Who cooks better, you or her?
I would say me, but I have to give it to her. Yeah, she cooks nice. Women
Yeah.
intuitively they're nice at cooking, right? They're better at cooking than men do because they like to like provide their feminine. So yeah, she says me. So
Um, no, no, I'm kind of grateful to be around men that love to cook and they're great at it.
yeah, that's nice.
Aesthetic Yogi is one of them.
Uh-huh. So he
Yeah.
he cooks Indian food or
Aesthetic Yogi, you want to tell us what kind of meals you like to make?
yeah, he'll be back.
Oh, yeah. Probably hopped off or on. What time is it there now?
It's 11:57, so we're like about to finish our 1 hour of life in 3 minutes.
Nice.
Let's touch on a part of yeah. He says it's complicated to explain. Lol.
We all have to have like we need to have a potluck somewhere.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. So you
Somewhere like
tell me, what made you so interested in all these array of topics that we've discussed? Like you're at such a young age, you know, and yet you carry this grace and this like, you know, like just this curiosity. So tell us more.
yeah, right. So I'm always been seeking different answers and different things and knowledge. Big fan of collecting information from wherever you can. So I remember when I met you and certain things click really well. So you know you are also vegetarian. I'm vegetarian. You were into yoga and meditation. I was also into yoga and meditation. So that's what I feel like you got more with you, and I want to extract more information as much I can. I also want to
Right.
share to the people with whom I connect with, and yeah, that's it. That's the thing I was really into. So yeah,
Nice.
I feel
Nice.
every person has a spiritual side of them. It depends like how they are being talked to or uh, how they are explained. So that's how they can open up after. But that day, we're just having a conversation and we just open different cards at different time. That's when
Yeah.
I felt like, okay, we need to, exchange more info on that.
Yeah, and it really depends on a person's energy, whether they're open or curious enough to receive, right? Like the wisdom will come like when you're open to like open to receiving, open to learning. Like that's the way it came for me too. I always had like a curiosity and I still do, I think. Like that's what keeps me like young at heart. Like I have periods where I just let go what I think I know and then I receive more and it's almost like an influx. Like it comes in waves and then you release it and it's just like there's a new learning with every wave, every chapter, as long as you remain open.
100%. That's the main thing. Like if you're receiving, if you're open to, accept and learn from different people, you'll get
Right.
different things, right? Let's
Yeah.
touch on fashion part of the life. Yeah,
Okay.
interesting. So how did you ended up into the fashion? So you've been in yoga, or was it before and then after you went fall in the yoga and meditation after?
Oh my gosh, it's all like a stir pot of things. I consider myself like a artist at heart. My fat fashion. I wanted to say my passion for fashion started really young. Like I was a spoiled child. Um, all my aunts knew how to sew, so they would make all my dresses. They would make. Is our live gonna end? Oh, it's about to like end. I didn't know that it does. Well, maybe we can save that for next time.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Unless we go on another live, but it's saying 5 seconds. We'll reconnect and maybe finish that. Should we do that?
All right.